Hello Rebel Divas and welcome to my Writer's Den. Today I'm going to read the first chapter of the second novel to my Red Heeled Rebels novel series. Now the book is called Abducted and it's about two young women who are trapped in Europe. One of them has been abducted by a gang that nobody knows who they're from or where they're from, and the second friend is trying to track her down. Now the entire series follows the lives of several young women from around the globe: Africa, Asia, Europe, North America, spunky, sassy, sexy young women who team up to fight the adversities that they faced growing up from wherever they come from. Okay, so are you ready for a story? If you are, this is chapter 1 of novel 2, Abducted in the Red Heeled Rebels novel series. Okay. The man in the black suit pushed Katie towards the airport doors. "Hey!" I shouted. "Stop!" Two smartly dressed women walking into the business lounge turned and glared at me. "Why can't they see what's happening?" "Let her go!" I yelled louder. I wasn't watching where I was going and I hit a trolley piled with luggage. The handlebar whacked into my stomach and I doubled over. The trolley rolled towards a man reading the flight display screens, but I couldn't stop. I had to keep running. I straightened up and kept running. I dodged a bunch of kids walking through the airport corridors, their noses stuck to their phones. They didn't see me. They didn't even move an inch. "Stop!" I shouted, trying to dodge through the kids, waving my arms. "Who's this man and why is he taking Katie?" From the corner of my eyes, I saw the vague shape of a man in a blue uniform at the other end of the corridor. For half a second, I thought of going out and shouting at him, asking him to help me. But that brief distraction cost me. I tripped and I fell. I felt my heel buckle under me. I caught myself just before I hit the floor and looked up just in time to see the man in the black suit pull my best friend through the airport sliding doors. Ignoring the pain in my ankle, I crashed through those doors just in time to see the man push Katie into a black London cab. "Why isn't she fighting back?" "Katie!" I shouted. "Come back! Hey!" The cab door banged shut, catching Katie's bright red scarf on the doorwell. The man jumped in the front and the car pulled out. "No!" I screamed. Everyone turned to look at me now. "Stop that car!" I said. "Help me!" I spluttered. I pointed. A group of businessmen waiting in the taxi line looked over at me with smirks in their faces. But most people, they just looked away as if embarrassed by this spectacle I was making. But I didn't care. This was my best girlfriend and she was being taken. I hobbled across the road and ran after the car just to see it disappear around the corner. Katie's red scarf fluttered from the departing taxi's doorwell as if giving me the finger. None of this would have happened if Katie had just followed me into that cafe. But she'd been distracted by the shoe store next door, and shoes for Katie was like crack for addicts. She didn't make a lot of money at Dick's Next Day Catering Company back in Toronto, but I knew she'd rather starve than forego a pair of sexy new heels. It was only a day earlier, just a day earlier, that 4 men had chased us across the city of Toronto to the Pearson Airport, where we'd hunkered down in a women's washroom overnight. We barely evaded them as we ran to the boarding gate, and when we finally got on the plane, I tried to forget our worries, while Katie, she switched on that little screen in front of her seat to get lost in the movies. But I never relaxed, and I saw Katie's eyes flitter from screen to the aisle, from the aisle to the screen and back again, as if she was afraid those men would appear in mid-air somehow. When the plane finally touched down in Heathrow Airport in London, we stumbled out, burnt out and nerve-wracked. My hastily packed backpack weighed me down, and the wheels on Katie's fake Louis Vuitton suitcase made a racket to wake the dead. After running through a whole bunch of corridors, it was a relief to finally find our departure gate to Goa, India, our final destination. But that was when Katie spotted the flashing red sign over that counter the Air India's check-in counter. Oh no! We'd been so desperate to get out of Toronto that we'd taken the only seats available, which happened to be standby. This meant everyone else had first dibs and the airline could bump us as we wish. I ran up to the desk and I got on my tiptoes. We've got boarding passes, but they're standby. Could you find seats for us, please? I asked, with a smile on my face and hope in my heart. Maybe, I thought, someone's late, maybe someone's a no-show, maybe the airline's got extra seats and they're just not announcing them. The ground attendant didn't even touch my ticket. She wrinkled her nose like it smelled of rotten cheese. Do you not see the sign? She said, pointing up. The flight's full. Her tone was crisp, final. Is there any way you can squeeze us in? I asked. I pleaded. It's just two of us. We'd fit anywhere, I heard Katie say behind me. We're on the small side. The attendant didn't look amused. It's an emergency, I said, and that wasn't a lie. We'd just evaded. These four men, these four human traffickers and drug dealers, Dick and Jose, who owned the bakery in Toronto where I baked cakes and Katie kept the books, they had made plans to sell us like we were nothing better than lemon meringue pies or plum cakes. I had no idea how far their reach was, but I didn't want to hang around to find out. It's really, really urgent, I said to the ground attendant. She sighed and she snapped her fingers. All right, passports and boarding passes, please. And then she tapped on the keyboard, her fingers flying at lightning speed while we stood by, our own fingers crossed tightly. Sorry, ladies, she said, turning back to us. There are absolutely no seats on this one. But she stopped to squint at the screen. We waited, holding our breath. I can see a couple of seats in this next flight departing to Delhi. You won't be sitting together and I can't promise anything, but because you're on standby after all. That flight's tomorrow at 1300 hours. Tomorrow? I asked. That would give Dick and Jose enough time to figure out where we'd run off to and catch up to us. Don't you have anything today? Katie asked. Book passengers get priority, the ground attendant said. Here are your new boarding passes. Don't be late tomorrow now, ladies. I took back our papers with shaking hands. The attendant leaned forward. She looked like she was sympathetical. Listen, if you need a place to stay the night, the Sheraton's right down. She stopped. She gave us a look, looked us over, and then she lowered her voice and she said, well, there are quiet lounges in Terminal 3 if you need to catch up some rest for the night while you wait for the flight, okay? Take care, she said, and she turned back to look at the lineup that had formed behind us. Next, please. We couldn't hang around there any longer. Katie and I stumbled to the closest bench and we collapsed. I swung my feet out and leaned back against the back of the bench, trying to take stock of what had happened in the last 48 hours. My right foot clinked as I moved around. I looked down. It was my silver ankle bracelet. It was a bracelet that had been a gift from my cousin Preeti, a gift for my wedding day, a wedding that never happened. It was a day I made the biggest escape of my life, and this probably was my second biggest escape. I was now on my way back to India, to Goa, India, to escape from these human traffickers and also to find my cousin Preeti and above all, to take revenge.